What's up, guys? Today on Robbie's Reviews, I am doing the 2016 Mercedes-AMG GT S. I want to thank my friend Oleg, who just got the car and is allowing me to take it out on the road, see what it's like to drive, review it, and check out all the cool features. Let's go check it out. Alright guys, here she is, the Mercedes-AMG GT S. This example is finished in the lovely Designo Diamond White Metallic, and it features options like the night package, which gives you black mirrors, black side vents here, the vents on the hood, things like the lower air dam, the black grille, and it actually has the black painted wheels here. They're satin black with their optional red painted calipers. Has a full glass panoramic roof, and here you can see the active rear spoiler is out right now. See those nice large taillights, and you have the gloss black diffuser down here, and as well as the gloss black exhaust tips as part of the night package. See, it's AMG and then GTS. So the GT would be the base model, making less power than the S. The S is powered by a 4-liter bi-turbo V8 that produces 503 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. So we're going to check it out in a little bit. And as you can probably tell, the proportions of this car are very similar to that of the SLS AMG, which is the outgoing model and the predecessor of the AMG GT series. And where it looks like the engine might sit somewhere around here in the middle of the hood, it actually really sits way far back, almost into the firewall, kind of under the firewall, and actually makes it front mid-engine. So where the majority of the engine sits behind the front axle, or in between the front and the rear axles, that's technically a mid-engine car. So front mid-engine, rear mid-engine. As long as the engine is in between the front and rear axles, the majority of it, then you have a mid-engine car. So this is a very nicely optioned car. It has the LED high-performance headlights, which are full self-contained LED units that are active. You have the front parking sensors, lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, backup camera, rear parking sensors as well. You have the keyless go, so you touch that if you have the key in your pocket. The mirrors fold in. See the nice black mirrors. You just put your hand behind here, open the door, and the mirrors come out. And real quick here, we'll get a look at the interior. It has the piano black wood trim with the black and red pepper interior, along with those AMG Performance Sport bucket seats, which actually have adjustable side and thigh bolstering. You have the nice Dynamica and leather steering wheel, flat bottom of course, with the AMG logo here. And we'll take a deeper look at the interior later, but for now, let's open up the hood. Check out that 4-liter bi-turbo V8. So as you can see, it's a very large hood. It actually goes a lot higher than that. It'll go completely vertical in order to make it easier to work on the car. But where it looks like the engine is here, this is actually just a cover, and you got air boxes and intakes and all kind of plumbing. The actual engine is sitting right back here, and it features the Hot V, which the turbos are in the valley of the engine. So not only does it minimize, actually almost eliminate turbo lag, it allows air to get into the turbos much sooner thanks to these intakes here. And really has all the feeling of a naturally aspirated engine, but all the benefits of turbocharging. So as you can see, pretty much the entire engine is sitting behind the front axle here. So that would make it a front mid-engine V8 car. And that helps for things like lower center of gravity, handling, whereas, for example, Audis, their engines really sit on top of, if not in front of, the front axle, and they're known to be nose heavy and understeer, so that's why this car has such sharp steering, and we'll check that out when we take it for a drive later. So right now, let's close it down. Let's check out the back. So it's a very interesting design. Unlike the SLS, which had a traditional trunk, this actually is a hatchback, so hold it here. And let's see, you've got a cargo net, storage shelf back here, and with some storage nets, and there's even a subwoofer here, you actually have a reasonable amount of storage. And being a hatchback, it's definitely the only one like it in its class. Two-door GT car. Yeah, there's plenty of storage in here. You can put a couple golf bags, some luggage. You got a nice strut bar, stabilizer bar here. See the back of those sport bucket seats, the holes for the harnesses. Alright, now we're going to close it up. And before we really dive into the interior, we're going to get a start up and rev and see what it sounds like. First, let's hop inside, start it up. So, like with other AMG models that I've reviewed in the past, first you want to do, put the car in ignition, open the exhaust valves, put it into Sport Plus or Race, whatever you want, then start it up. Start button's right here. Wow, that sounds really good. And that's stock exhaust. This car comes with the optional AMG Sport exhaust, which gives you the valves or flaps in the exhaust, and you open them, and creates nice burbles from the exhaust. And if you don't hit the button, the modes that it activates in is Sport Plus and Race. And if you want them closed but still want some sportiness, Sport, and then you got Comfort, and then Individual, you can actually set whatever you want. So suspension, engine, transmission, traction control, all that. So you have Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, and you hear the exhaust open, Race. So you can actually see it change in 3 different spots. So here you have it in Sport handling mode. So you have Sport Plus, Sport, Comfort, Individual, and so on. And I really love what Mercedes-Benz did with this interior. Actually, I should say Mercedes-AMG, because this is actually the second Mercedes model that is strictly designed in-house, built, everything by AMG. There's no actual regular Mercedes-Benz model for this car. There's no like AMG GT 350, nothing like that. It's just either the GT, the GTS, the GTC, and the GTR, and each one of those has a roadster variant. So this being the coupe, this is a GTS coupe, and as you can see, it has the red pepper interior with the black leather, with red contrast stitching everywhere. I mean, you guys know I love Mercedes. I mean, my social media, my Instagram is Mercman, so you know how biased I am towards these cars, but it really shows. I mean, the craftsmanship, I mean, look at this. So you have this nice satin black finish here with the piano black trim here, all the leather, and I just love these AMG Sport bucket seats. So you have the adjustable thigh and side bolstering. You have this nice gloss black finish on the vents here. You have the infotainment screen. And if you've seen my other videos, you know I'm not going to really go in depth. It's all kind of the same thing. You have the touchpad and the scroll wheel here. So you have the radio. And obviously go back. Go to vehicle. Actually, that's phone. So you go to vehicle. So you have your vehicle settings, dynamic select. Well, this is pretty cool. So you have your individual configuration, which is where you can configure the individual settings. So, like I was saying before, you can have your exhaust on Comfort and your suspension on Sport, or vice versa, or the engine on Sport Plus or Race, and the transmission on Drive or Manual. You actually have an M button here for the transmission, so you can do full manual. The car will not upshift for you or downshift. It'll hold its gears. And then you have your auto start stop, exhaust flaps, traction control, 2-mode suspension, actually 3-mode. This is Comfort. Then you have your Sport, and then Sport Plus in Race. We'll put it back into Comfort for now. So you have your engine data. I just put the car into Sport Plus real quick. Takes a second. There we go. So it shows you water and oil temp, current horsepower, and pound-feet of torque that you're using. So revving the engine like that, use 100 ton horsepower. And let's see, we go back. to yet another screen, you have vehicle data. So this is probably my favorite screen. And there's different versions of it depending on what model Mercedes-AMG you have and what year. But it basically shows brake pressure to the percent. I mean, I'm barely touching the brake. Throttle input. It's very responsive. You can see the active suspension here. I just put it back in the Sport Plus. So when we're driving, you can see the yaw angle of the car, the rear of the car, the angle I'm turning the wheels, so it's at negative some degrees, then you go to positive. You're going to see the load on the suspension. This little thing here is the G meter, the orange circle, and it'll tell you what mode you're in. So right now I'm in Sport Plus. Going to race, it'll change. So it even changes the background. If we go to comfort, it changes that too. And you'll see, I mean, even as the settings adjust, you'll be able to see all the differences of the dynamics of the car and how everything reacts to the driving settings, the driving modes. You have your volume button here. Pretty standard as far as the AC controls go. It's really the same as it is in most Mercedes. You have the little knobs to close and open the vents. You can rotate them. You make a nice clicking sound when you close them. Or not close them, but put them into the neutrals position here. So you have your blind spot monitoring triangle there. No heads-up display on these cars, but you really don't need it, to be honest. You have plenty of information here. You have the G meter if you don't want to see it here. What mode you're in. Comfort, 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 comfort. Drive, traction control on. Lap timer. Your boost. Temp, oil temp and water temp. Pretty standard stuff as far as AMGs go. It's all really the same. I just love the, I don't know if it's real or not. It looks like a 3D carbon effect on the gauge cluster, on the tachometer and the speedometer. You have your oil temperature down there, and you have your fuel level. You have your things like your power steering wheel, the automatic headlights. It's got the Burmester sound system, which actually sounds really nice. And you have your full panoramic roof, which is very nice. You have heated seats, being that these are not the comfort seats, you don't have a cool option. The wing is currently up, so it's red. See it go down. There it goes. Parking sensors off. Hazard lights. Heated seats. Actually, real quick, I'm going to show you guys the headlights and the hazard lights. So you have the nice bright indicators in the mirror here. The LED high performance headlights. So it's funny, the switchbacks are actually active while the turn signal's on. So when the turn signal makes each cycle, it actually temporarily goes back to the DRL, which is very, very cool, and I don't think a lot of other car companies do that. Go around to the taillights. And I really love the design of the taillights here. Nice and bright. And you have this cool 3D design going across. It's almost like an OLED effect, although it's not quite that yet. The new S-Class Coupe and Cabriolet has the OLED taillights, or organic LED. But hopefully the facelift of these cars will have it. They're already out, I know, but I don't know if they're planning on changing the taillights even more before they completely redesign the car. But now, let's go get it out on the road and see what it's like to drive. Alright, so right now we're driving the 2016 Mercedes-AMG GT S. Taking it out on the road here. Right now we're just cruising in Sport Plus. We've actually have the exhaust valves closed, so you guys can hear me a little better. But I will open them so you can hear the exhaust and the differences with the flaps closed versus open. So this is definitely a car you want to leave traction control on all the time, because it's very controllable, it's very forgiving with all the nannies on, traction control, stability control. And you could probably saw that the wheel got a little bit loose and the car was being playful. Now I've got the suspension in the stiffest setting, and to be honest, it's not that bad. It's still pretty forgiving. manually shifting. I'm actually going to put the transmission at the M so the car doesn't upshift for me. It'll hold the gears. Now I'm going to open the exhaust valve so you guys can hear the difference. It's very, very loud in here now. The valves, it sounds great. That 7-speed speed shift transmission, AMG speed shift, is very, very snappy. Responds at the blink of an eye. It's very, very tight. The shifts are actually, you don't really detect the shifts unless you're in Sport Plus or Race. If you're a comfort individual with the comfort setting or Sport, the shifts are actually pretty nice. You don't really feel them at all. But right now I've got it in Sport Plus. Race is a little bit too much for the street. We'll put it back into, let's see, actually if we just hold right on the paddle, it turns off M, so we'll turn off M here. And in Sport Plus and Race, the car loves to hold gears. So we're going to put it into Sport. Just went up to the gear. So right now we're cruising in 4th gear. And when you want it to be, the car can actually be very supple, quiet, and luxurious because it is a luxury GT car. I just love the way that electric steering responds, the way it feels. It's nicely weighted. You can feel everything in the road. You know where the nose is pointing. You know where the front wheels are. And I love the flat bottom here. Great visibility. You have the glass roof. Actually, the A pillars are very small. The B pillar is pretty much non-existent. C pillar is not that bad. Right, blind spot monitor here. Lane keep assist. Well, it is a very big hood, and we'll go to that view in a second so you can see what I'm talking about. It's not that bad to see over. It's not like you're in a big Rolls Royce or a pickup truck or SUV or something like that. It's very manageable, and it's really a fun car to drive. I just love the center stack here that mimics the V8, the bi-turbo V8. So right now we've got the car in Sport Plus. Gotta love that sound. And if I get a chance, I'm going to show you guys the race start mode, which is AMG's launch control. But as you can see, the hood is really not that big of a blind spot. You can tell where the nose is. You really know where you're going. I've actually got the suspension in the stiffest mode right now, and it's very, very firm, and you do really feel every bump, but it's also compliant, and there's any undulations in the road are soaked up instantly. I mean, AMG has always done a great job with their adaptive suspension, and this is no exception. Manually shifting around town is very fun. The AMG Speed Shift 7-speed transmission is very responsive. Like I was saying earlier, the shifts are almost undetectable in comfort and sport. However, in Sport Plus and race mode, you do feel it. You get that classic AMG kick in the back of the head. And that's not a negative. I love the way that this transmission shifts. Around town, you can put it in comfort if you want to just have a nice quiet ride, listen to some music. But if you want to listen to the real music, it is that 4-liter bi-turbo V8. You open the exhaust valves and you can hear everything. So right now I'm going to close the exhaust valves, put it into sport. And as you can see, it's a big difference. And this is open. So the difference between Sport and Sport Plus, other than the RPMs and the engine mounts adjusting, you get the crackles. In Sport Plus, you really don't get the crackles and pops from the exhaust. So now I'm going to show you guys race start or launch control. First, foot firmly on the brake, pull both paddles. Race start confirm, paddle up. That's race start. It's a very, very brutal launch control, and even being a rear-wheel drive car, after doing its thing and doing all the spinning and getting the drama out of the way, it really does a good job at hooking and putting that power down. Alright guys, well that should do it for this review of the 2016 Mercedes-AMG GT S. Once again, I just want to thank my friend Oleg, who's very kindly allowed me to review his new car and to get out on the road and see what it's like and show you guys all its cool features. Okay guys, see you next time.